Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Monshaat workshop. And thank you for attending. My name is Martin Hancock. I'm a partner and COO of World Franchise Associates. And our subject today is considerations for acquiring an international franchise brand. I'm fortunate enough to have spent quite a lot of time in the Kingdom, and it's great to see the work that's been done by Monshaat in developing a system that facilitates the acquisition of international franchise brands by Saudi companies and entrepreneurs, and also through the new disclosure laws gives protection and knowledge to both sides. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation here, so please submit your questions as we go, and I'll be happy to answer them at the end. A little bit about us. As I say, my company is World Franchise Associates. We're a global franchise services company. Our core business is assisting franchise brands from all over the globe develop internationally. As I say, we do a lot of work in Saudi Arabia and the GCC, so we're familiar with the market. And as part of this, we also have to advise and assist investors, those looking to acquire franchises, on what they have to look for when acquiring a brand, assessing themselves, the preparation that's required in order to create a successful franchise operation in Saudi Arabia. Again, just a little bit more about ourselves. This is our media portfolio. We have the World Franchise Center website, which is a catalog of brands looking to develop internationally. We have a publication called World Franchise Review. We have a Franchise Connect program where we connect either physically or virtually prospective franchisees with franchisors. Our news feed is called FranSpeak, our newsletter, and we put on franchise-centric forums. So, what is franchising? We all know what franchising is, but in an ideal world, excuse me, just one second. In an ideal world, a franchise is a partnership between a franchise company with a proven business system and a company, independent business owner or entrepreneur willing to follow that system. And this is a very important point. You're buying a system, you're acquiring a system. The most successful franchisees follow that system. The union is a contractual relationship spelled out in a written franchise agreement, which details the rights and obligations of both parties. Franchise agreement is the core document. The first thing you have to do when you're looking or thinking about acquiring a franchise brand is you have to assess yourself. First of all, are you serious about running your business? Do you understand the obligations? Do you understand the work involved? Do you understand all that is involved in business ownership, particularly if you haven't owned a business previously, if you're coming from somewhere where you've acted as an employee, even a high level, C-level employee, there's a difference when you own the business. Is your skill set and experience a match for the requirements of the business? If it's a service sector business, do you have service sector experience? If it's F&B, same thing. It's not essential, but it often makes the job easier if you understand the sector. Will you enjoy the business? Sounds obvious, but life's much easier if you enjoy what you're doing. As I said a moment ago, following the system is a very important part of this. Are you willing to follow a system? Do you have experience building a team? When you acquire an international franchise, it's unlikely that it'll be a single unit. Most brands of any size, when they develop internationally, are looking for somebody able to develop a region or possibly a country. And you can't do that on your own. And then obviously, do you have the required capital? We'll touch on that a little more as we go through this. Are you ready? International franchising is a different game for the franchisor, a different model, right? The franchisor may be from the UK, maybe from Australia, maybe from the US, and they'll have worked off a certain model that will have to be tweaked slightly to bring to a different country, dealing with different races, dealing with different religions, cultures, beliefs, attitude, business practices, etc. This covers both the franchisor and the franchisee. As a franchisee, you may already have a business. In fact, you probably do already have a business, and you'll be looking at employing people with different capabilities and skill sets that your local management team have. And importantly, both sides have to be prepared to constantly listen, learn, and adapt. Understand that international expansion is a growth strategy for the franchisor and the franchisee. As I touched on earlier, the franchisor that you'll be working with is probably not looking to open a single unit if they're developing internationally. They're looking at expanding within Saudi Arabia. And so that relationship has to be understood from the very beginning. So let's look at the big picture basics. 3 things that you need to look at when you look at your franchisor, when you're evaluating franchisors. Are they profitable? Are they competitive? And are they 100% committed? If those 3 boxes are checked, then you can move on to a more in-depth look at the franchise that you're considering. So 10 essentials. The capability and experience of the franchisor management team. Do they have international experience? Are they opening to incorporating the tweaks that'll no doubt be necessary to make the brand viable in Saudi Arabia? And are they willing to incorporate those changes into their franchise model? Will the product, the uniqueness of the products and services, what are the USPs of the company that you're looking to acquire franchise rights for? Do those products and services already have unmet demand in your market? The overall competitiveness of the brand in their home country. Are they operating in a niche? How do they do against their competition? Again, what are the USPs of the company in their home market? You need to understand the financial track record of the brand. And because now disclosure is required when bringing a franchise brand into Saudi Arabia, that information is available. Have there been any bankruptcies, chapters 11s, have there been any franchisee bankruptcies? Franchisee bankruptcies, just you need to understand that that the franchisor is sound financially. Is the concept easy to transfer and replicate? So that would be, are there any supply chain issues? Are there any marketing issues? Are there any issues that cultural issues that mean it would be difficult to replicate the business model in your market? Can the products and standards be delivered consistently? This is a long-term relationship, so you want to make sure that what you're selling can be delivered consistently over a long-term relationship. Does the company have a good public image? What's the PR? Is there a good face to the company? And then probably two of the more important items for you. Is the system more than adequate? This is the heart of a franchise program. Operating systems, tools, processes. And it goes beyond just the operating manual, hiring processes, branding processes, brand standards. Will they help you design the location? The system is what you're acquiring here, as well as the brand. You're basically, you're borrowing the brand for the period of the franchise agreement. And is the training program more than adequate? Will you get sufficient training? Will you be trained in country as well as the franchisor's home country? These are all things that you have to look at when assessing a franchise brand. Other considerations, the competition. Obviously, acquiring a franchise brand, you're going to look at the competitive landscape in Saudi Arabia. The market profile, does the profile, the demographics of your market match the profile of the prospective customers of your business? Is there an effective marketing strategy? Are you going to receive marketing plans, marketing templates, marketing collateral? Startup operation and costing, break-even point and return on investment. We can look at that. We'll look at that a little further into this, but obviously startup costs, operating costs, and then you need to know how long, or you need to estimate how long until you break even, and then what the ROI looks like for this business model. The profitability, is there a margin there that once you've paid your royalties to the franchisor? And the fees. The fees will probably go beyond franchise fees. Royalties, advertising, you need to take a very close look at the fees, because you will be tied into the fees through the period of the franchise agreement. So here's a simple diagram of a franchise operating system. This used to be something that would come in, would be a very pages and pages and pages of documents. Now it's all online. So you've got, if I take this from the left, you've got the basic alignment between the franchisor and the franchisee, which that defines the franchisor-franchisee relationship. You've got leadership training, strategic planning, systems, tools, and processes, which I addressed earlier, training and development programs, CRM programs, performance measurements. A robust franchise operating system will incorporate all of these factors, all of these sectors, and it's something that you as a potential franchisee should investigate and be aware of as part of your due diligence. I've touched on this previously. The difference between franchising a brand that's already in your country and an international franchise is that with it, if you're looking at a single unit with a brand that's already in the kingdom, you may be looking at a single unit. In other words, you'll open a store, you'll work the store, and your franchise will be defined by a single territory, whether that's geographical, by population. It's defined a lot of different ways, but that's how it'll work. If you're acquiring an international franchise brand, which is what this workshop is about, the relationship will be much more than that. You'll need to know that you have the operational bandwidth to expand beyond one unit, whether that's in a city or the whole country. The franchisor will have a development agreement. You guys will agree, you and the franchisor will agree on a development agreement. Okay, I'm going to open. Okay, all right. You'll agree on the type of agreement. I can hear the translation. I don't know what's happened here. Okay, so you'll agree with the franchisor on the type of agreement. If it's a master franchise, it means that you'll have the ability to sell after you've opened a couple of units to sub-franchise. If it's area development, you'll open an agreed number of units on a company-owned business. And then you have to define the territory. Is it a region? Is it a city? Is it a country? It's important that the scope of this is understood by both sides. Again, this is just the backup to the final slide. It's in acquiring an international master franchise is not typically about opening individual outlets. You want to become one of the top 5 brands in your sector in your country. So here are the basic foundations for international franchising success. An excellent franchisor-franchisee performance, and also an excellent franchisee-franchisor relationship. Effective systems and operating platform. In other words, we need to understand that the platform will work. Experienced, energetic, and focused international team. If your franchise has that, then you're halfway there. Strong leadership at every level, and that applies to both franchisor and franchisee. As I addressed earlier, an outstanding franchisor-franchisee relationship, a sound business model and financial plan, and a customer-focused mindset. Franchising is the most vertical business in the world. If you as a franchisee are doing well, satisfying your customers, making money, then the whole system will work. Obviously, this is a complex system. We have a limited amount of time to discuss this, but I hope you've enjoyed this overview. I hope you found it beneficial. So please, let's open the floor, and I'll be happy to answer any questions now. Abdullah, do we have any questions? Okay, I believe we've got some questions. I'm just waiting to get them fed in here. Is there a problem, Abdullah, getting me the questions? Okay, so the first question is, which franchise model do you prefer it in order to follow it to start my own franchise? If you mean franchise model, you mean single unit, multi-unit, area developer. That is entirely dependent on your operational scope and your finances. There's a different capex requirements, obviously, for multi-unit and single unit. If you're asking about which type of franchise, well, that's a much bigger model that you would have to decide yourself. Next question is, since now I can't catch up from the pandemic effects, so any advice? The pandemic has affected every business, right? And it's changed the way people operate forever. It's brought food delivery forward by 5 years. It's changed the fitness business to a hybrid model. So if I'm answering your question, you just have to make sure that the business you're looking at has adapted to the way that consumers now interact with brands, which, you know, that was changed substantially through the pandemic. Anybody else? Okay, so good question. I don't know where to start. In order to buy a franchise, should I go for an international brand or start first by a local one? Good question. Again, it's dependent on your goals and, to an extent, your financial capability. Obviously, if you buy a franchise that's currently operating in the kingdom and successful, then you've got a pretty good idea that you're not going to have a great deal of risk. I mean, this is why franchise businesses have a much better chance of success than ordinary startups. So, but you're also going to be limited in the scope. You're not going to be offered rights to the country. You're not going to be offered rights to a city, probably, if you're dealing with a local brand. So it's risk and reward. Which country is the best from your point of view to have a franchise in it? That's an I'm not sure I understand that question. you would normally want to bring a franchise into the country that you're in. If that answers your question. I mean, you can't develop a franchise in a country that you're not living in. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. You have my information on the screen here. Should you have any questions for me, be happy to answer them. And again, thank you all very much for attending, and the very best of luck with your franchising endeavors. Thank you again.
السلام عليكم، مساكم الله
Peace
بالخير.
be upon you all. Have a good evening for all of you, and welcome to this meeting on the franchise industry, one of the initiatives of the interactive market of franchising by Monshaat. Our objective today from this meeting is to know how to make an integrated franchise. We're going to speak in a clear way. If the franchise is not sustainable and innovative, there will not be a franchise. It will only be a copy project. So the main adjective is and characteristic is that it is integrated so that it does not fall short in any of the aspects. We will not be speaking about the full journey, but we will be introducing ourselves first. My name is Yusuf Al Harbi, uh, franchise art CEO and a member of the franchise committee at the Chamber of Commerce in Riyadh. Franchise Art is one of other of these national and international companies. We dealt with many companies nationally and internationally for 10 years of experience in the field. The 360 franchise program consists of five phases. First, the crafting and how to craft our Saudi franchise, especially the national one. After that, we will have more plans in order to go to the efficiency. After that, we have phase three, which is branding, to be at the international level. After that, the operating, which is the backbone of franchise. And finally, we have franchising as a concept for, for the investors. These are the main three things, but the five pillars of the franchise, quickly speaking, are a part of the craft franchise business model, then the branding strategy, then the operational system, then the franchise agreement, which is building the agreements for the franchise, so that building the supply chain that is integrated. The program is a lot for months, but now we will be only speaking directly about strategy first. Our topic today will be speaking about operation in the field of franchise, which is considered by us as one of the most important pillar, which is considered by me personally as the backbone of any franchise system. Before that, we should ask, how can we or say that we should go to the franchise? Why some companies follow this model and some others don't? Some people prefer traditional business models, or some others have the self-operation model and expand through their own resources. Usually, before a company start franchise, there should be first the first phase, which is the company or the board of the company or the owner of the brand says that I'm willing to work as a franchise. This is the first and most important word because franchise is one of the most important tools for expansion and spread for companies to enter new markets and to expand and grow. So when can the company be ready? When the board or the owner of the brand gives the green light for franchising, even if they're not ready. The decision-making process from the beginning, approving that decision as one of the enablers of the strategy of the company will create the momentum. Quickly speaking about the strategy and the business model because it is very important before we tackle the operation part. Strategy usually is in a nutshell is how to overcome the challenges and how to continue for the longest period of time for the company itself and for the product. In the franchise system, the company says we need to expand. We Through this expansion, we will use it as a tool for expansion. If the company approves this model as a tool for expansion, we'll move to the next step, which is approving what is necessary regarding a franchise management, marketing management, public relations with the franchisees. So taking the decision for franchising will be reflected on many other things, uh, whether financially or formally or organizationally for that part. So we need to be really believing in the franchise as a tool for expansion in order to start it. So some companies that are very strong in the field of franchise take franchise as an effective tool. But this is very important. Many companies now failed and left the market because when they started franchise, they thought they were hesitant. Should we do it or not? Should we have money? Should we expand or not? Should we have new partners or not? Some people said that, for example, some of the members of the board agree. So after 2 or 3 years of the franchising, they fail the project. So the strategy, like any other strategy, there are different ways, but the strategy that we're going to use is a strategy for the businesses or the organizations. We will focus on 3 points. Where to play, where's our market now, whether for the franchise or not, before the company, before any company wants to expand, they need to know where to play. Where should they start the challenge? How are they are going to win? What will be their mechanism? So the opportunities will be available for you based on your readiness for the franchise. First, you need to have the administrational and financial readiness, the ability to invest, the ability to develop products, the logistics support that is developed in any city or company inside or outside the Saudi market. This is very important for this franchise. Also, the ID, the identity of the franchise, the identity of the country or the city or the place or the region in which they operate. When you start a Saudi franchise in Egypt or in South Africa, you should forget your own nationality and you should be close to that place. And this is related to the globalization concept. So we use the English because it's the language of franchise globally for all countries, whether from China or Japan or others. English is approved in the field of franchise. So any person who wants to franchise, they should know the main terminologies in English regarding that part. Another point, or the second point, which is in the franchise part, the franchise process, in order to be able to complete it, it should be in line with the strategy of the business. So where to play? What is the land, the ground, the home city, or the country that in which you will operate? Is it the food and beverage, restaurant, sport, Riyadh, inside Saudi Arabia or outside, northern Riyadh, all over Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, in Egypt? So the place in which you're going to play or challenge should be identified, uh, and you should exert your effort to identify that. And for that, we should start crafting our strategy in accordance with our abilities and financial resources and the teamwork and the experiences accumulated. For example, if you work locally in Riyadh and suddenly you wanted to go to the African market without necessary experiences, or going to the Latin America or any other place without having the experience, you will not be able to compete. Some companies in Saudi Arabia could not compete even in the Gulf market because they didn't have the experience to operate on the Gulf level or on the level of other countries. While Hershey signed in Nigeria and in Singapore, and I think in some other places as well. So it means that any brand can win in any market, but there should be a way to do that. Finally, how to win, which is in a nutshell says how to have a value for your brand. This is very important for everything related to the pricing, the consumer or the user of this brand, in order to have uh, good channels of communication. So also the reactions of consumers are very important. Like iOS people, when they were disappointed yesterday because there was nothing new and they only preserved the old values. So the brand itself may has a value because of the values they create for their customers. Are there any questions now? Let's move on to some of the strategies. Quickly speaking, unlike the traditional expansion strategies, we have some strategies. Some companies may use franchising like McDonald's, Domino's Pizza, 7-Eleven, Subway, and others. There are some. There is a box for questions. You can choose to write them now, whether on WhatsApp or through. I don't know if there is any other way. Or if you have any questions, you can send me. So usually there are different ways for franchise. Like McDonald's, they have 37,000. And some companies have more than 46,000 branches all over the world. Some companies expand through the subsidiary to have control and management over all of the subsidiaries like Walt Disney and other companies. So they often, with the ability and General Electric and others, some companies only provide licenses like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They can have production in one location under the supervision of the company. Cadbury use the ideality of being in a specific place and the expansion and distribution. Also, like Starbucks, which is joint venture, joint or partnership. Also, there are emergence of other strategies. So before you expand and enter new markets nationally or locally or regionally or internationally, for example, if you are in Riyadh and you want to go to Hafr al City or Arar City or going to the Jizan City, should you use franchise or not? Some people say, I will start a subsidiary there myself without depending on others. Some will choose the franchise to depend on one of the citizens of that region. This is very important in order to understand the franchise strategies industry and making the strategy of the company. And we will be speaking about that later on. Of course, I don't like to go to the deep details, but strategies in general 100% reflect on the business, on the resources of the business. If you want to expand, you need new employees. So you need to hire. If you go to the United Kingdom, for example, if you want to start a company in the Saudi market, you need to take Saudization factor in consideration. Also, the sales and marketing, your share in the market will be increasing or decreasing. The strategy itself sometimes affect because we are focusing on specific products, not the others. Even if you are making your own product like McDonald's in Egypt, in India, and China, for example, marketing specific products in order to localize the process. Also, innovation is very important because the strategy should have a level of innovation that will be reflected in R&D department at your location for a specific product or specific method. Also, if you want to start a new product, if you want to go to Egypt market, in Egypt you can have something sale. You can have a new product, even if you have your product in Saudi Arabia. In Egypt, the volume of products will be maybe more
اقل ممكن الصوصات اللي كانت في المطاعم يختلف بما يتناسب مع
not appropriate the user in Egypt, for example. Some products not be appropriate. In Egypt, for example, the be reflected on the value of the cost of the power and the customs and the taxes and others. So there will be reflection on the main points of your work. For the strategy of the franchise, five most important. One of them is a building the business model. This strategy is very important. Should we start franchise or not? In all of the businesses, you should have this strategy. In order to have this strategy, you need, in order to be, for example, an international level or national level, strategies differ. All of these points and factors need to be taken into consideration. So first, a strategy So as for the business model or the operation, many people use they some people use to start use like micro franchise. So the business model usually has three main steps. First, making things, and that thing can be a design or a material, a manufacturing, a service, or a product. These are the main points. What are the main points of that thing? For example, if you want to create a restaurant or a cafe, so making a thing, a cafe, for example, we will be speaking about branding, designing, the type of coffee beans, the mugs, the printing, the brochures, the menus, and if you wanted the furniture on dealing with your manpower or third party or their experiences in the field of hospitality and in the field of cafes and other. So if you want to start this program or this product like burger, for example, in order to do that, after you make it, in order to be a business model, there should be selling for that thing or that product. So when you make something, then you sell that thing through the media, through the distribution, the marketing, social media, the influencers, the advertising campaign. If you make the thing and sell it, you need to make profits. If you don't make profits, the cycle is not complete. So the business model in general,
money
specifically or simply speaking, is making money. Making money. You make the thing, you sell it, and you receive the revenues, whether PayPal or STC and transfer. The method through which you will receive the money, maybe Apple, I don't remember the name, Apple payment. So using any method possible that will give you the money. This is the business model. Will that business model go on? We don't know. Maybe that business model maybe maybe it is beautiful, but you consider it very expensive, and the market has a lot of expensive and strong and fierce competition. Some other things that are very important for the first phase in the process of manufacturing raw material, the cost of these things, are they important? Allah, for example, a burger that costs 100 riyal cannot compete against 15 or 20 riyals. So if there is added value, so it should be very important. So if you could identify these points and make something that is very important, and by thing, I mean a product or a service, your relations with the suppliers and building the process and that the design should be attractive, and you'll be able to sell that brand or that, sorry, to sell this product or this service. When we speak about making thing can be a brand. For example, Arabia, Half Million, Arabia Cafe, or some of these things that we know in Saudi Arabia. You started a brand because in the franchise, we don't sell the cafe or the restaurant or the spa or the salon. We are selling an investment opportunity. So this investment opportunity, is it designed well? Are there people who can buy well? Will they continue to receive money? And also, if we design this kind of franchise, will you be able to operate this brand in Riyadh and in Ha'il, in Rafah, in Jizan, in different cities in Asia with the same efficiency or not? Also, if you go out of the Saudi market, will it be the same efficiency or will it be reflected on other things? For example, I remember that one of the brands went out of the Saudi market because their main product or raw material used to come from outside, and it took them 4 days to receive it. So raw material sometimes may have a problem. So this is the business model that we are talking about. When building the franchise or the business model, we need to be innovative. And usually when we are creating a brand for the franchise, usually we work on three main phases. or stages. There are three milestones or pillars in the field of business. First, organization itself. This means that the organization itself should be the business that is creating the brand, which is the organization. Is it, does it have a profit model? Do they have like 10% profits? How can they increase it to 20%? The business model or the process or the production, if it takes 3 hours, how can we make it take only half an hour? The preparations from the process of work from the source takes 1 day. How can we lessen that into a few hours? So the profit model, how can we create it to be of a good margin of profits? Also, the process of work needs to be strong, integrated, and very structured and studied. And I'm going to speak about that later in operation in details. How can we benefit from the network with suppliers and the relations with the suppliers and all the kinds of relations that will help the business itself? Also, the stakeholders and themselves, the clients who, or those who are partners for the brand. After that, the structure and the governance. For example, Toys R Us. We know that Toys R Us went broke 2 or 3 years ago. So what did they do? They started rebuilding their business model, which is different toys inbox. They worked with a company named Kira. In 2015, it was established, and in 2019, they could restructure Toys R Us with a new name. They Places were 3,000 meters, now 2,000. Also rebuilding their culture with the clients in a different way that is more linear or more flexible and more facilitated. This is the business model, but the same idea for Toys R Us. What about the prices and the volume? We don't know yet. They started 1 or 2 branches until now in America, and we will see how different they will be. So if your product is strong and integrated, if your product is flexible, that means, for example, McDonald's is known well, and McDonald's could create a product in Luxembourg, which is a machine for making Big Mac. McDonald's also could create Mac Arabia, Mac Delivery, Mac Breakfast. All of these products are not enough. They are for the development of the products to adapt and meet the needs of a specific market. Sometimes there were no breakfast, but now McDonald's started the breakfast market to take the share of the breakfast from Dunkin' Donuts, from Starbucks, from other restaurants, even if it's a small share, but at least they're there. And clients will come to them from 6 a.m. until the evening, like Mac Cafe. This is the focus on developing their model of business regarding the product. In 2007, Domino's Pizza was losing and they were exiting the market. They restructured their business model, rebuilt it, focused on serving the client, reduced their operation model, and they are now, they turned into more than a pickup or a takeaway um, restaurant, and they focused on a light business model to operate in any place with small areas with good prices, and they launched it 30 minutes or free, which was very important. If your order exceeds 30 minutes, it will be free. So many films and movies focused on that point and took it as a joke. This is the strength of business model. Many brands in Saudi Arabia neglect that. They started a good product in the beginning or a product that they think good. But after that, there is no profitability, there is no good opportunities, job opportunities, they did not add value. The customer experience is weak, they don't care about their customers in a good way. The development is maybe more or less than necessary. So there is some kind of waste. So all of these points create a business model that is innovative. Here is the difference. So if this is important or easy, Why some brands do not succeed? Let's go and check this question. 2 points. Is the brand owner has the understanding and the experience or the good integrated knowledge? No. Most of the brand owners uh, didn't give their products their due, maybe took their initiative to do everything, but they should have delegated to some other people in order to deliver and to develop their business model. Number two, our customers, if they have the good knowledge and experience in business development and business model development, do they have the investment ability to develop this product and project according to their needs, to have operations manager that is experienced, to sign agreements with suppliers, to have good offers, to invest in marketing? This is a very important point. Some franchises succeeded because of marketing, and I've seen some of them for 3 years now successful, and they had advertisement with an international or the football cup, the World Football Cup. Domino's Pizza, for example, from failure that was leading them to exiting the business into now a successful company with more than 17 or maybe 19 or 14,000 units all over the world, and they are expanding, and it is one of the promising companies even in the market. Okay. Are there any questions? Do you have any questions?
اوكي ما في اي استفسارات. اخوي عبد الله انا ماني متاكد اذا كان في احد عنده استفسار او شيء ما في كوميونيكيشن.
Are there any questions, Mr. Abdullah? These are some of the companies. These are the top 7. We have like 15 business models. Speaking about these 15 business models that are used by companies in the field of franchising or starting their business. But here, McDonald's, for example, McDonald's had a strategy and a business model, but the franchise is considered a strategy that should be approved for the brand, and also it in itself, it can be a business model. The production, Remax, for example, the brokerage and subscription on Netflix, marketplace and eBay and Amazon and others, advertising on YouTube, the premium, which is $11 million or something like that. MailChimp, also low tax IKEA. All of these are 7 business models that are approved by companies. Why are they approved? Because when establishing this business model, the company says we need, for example, to depend on subscription like Netflix, or the marketplace like eBay and Amazon and others, on this one and others. Advertising, the same. When a company says that I will depend on YouTube or I'll depend heavily on a specific advertising model. So first, we should know what we want in terms of our strategy. Also, one of the most important thing is that franchising, as mentioned by some of these companies. I hope that my message is clear. I don't see any interaction. Now I've spoken about the most important parts of franchise. So franchise is important. Some people say, give me franchise, sell me the franchise, sell me the brand. Some people say, no, we don't sell the brand. We sell the rights of franchise for a specific period of time in a specific region, geographical region, under specific conditions by the company. So first, in terms of the franchise and the right of franchise, we're not selling the brand. We are not selling. We're saying in Arabic the word grant or selling. The best way to express it is to say we are selling the rights of franchise. For example, you say I want to buy or I want to sell the franchise rights for the brand. Franchise agreement, I think it's very important, and and also the franchise agreement is very important, in which people sign the agreement. We have information about the region, we have the important, we have the sales or the assets that are used. We also have the monthly or the annually or quarterly or biannually markets, also from 3 years to several years according to the agreement. Also, the franchise support, the training, the system, the logistics to develop the markets, the money wise and others, and how to manage the franchise and how to build that, and also the quality process on the franchise, how to control this relation between the franchisor and the franchisees. There are also a lot of other factors that are very important in terms of the laws and legalities, and also in a process in which we try to overcome challenges and avoid mistakes. The clearer the process is, the more sustainable it will be, and the stronger the model. Before we start speaking about the next part, before we speak about the franchise or itself, or the operation itself, there are 5 points I mentioned, which are the five basics for the franchise, which is the business model, then the business model, then marketing, then operation, then legality, then support. These are the 5 most important pillars of factors for the franchise. Now we're going to specifically speak about operation and the processes, and maybe speaking about support. Business model has a lot of details, but we don't have time to explain it. Legality also requires someone who is a lawyer or a legal person to speak about the details, because usually the contract have a technical part, maybe experts can help you, and also the legal part. So the technical part and the legal part, in which we have legal people or lawyers to help. These are the main parts in which we have the strategy of the franchise. There is a study that says 90% were happy with the franchise, and 88% were happy that they are part of the franchise. For example, Domino's Pizza, or they are happy that they received of the franchise of Tazaj, or the franchise of Pizza Hut, or some of these things. So companies were very happy with that thing, that they're happy to be part of that brand organization. 80% said that out of 100 people, said 90% said that we respect the brand, would like to respect the brand. So the franchisee as a franchisor, as an owner, or as an organization that owns the brand. 83% respect their franchisors. 80% feel that their franchisor operates with a high level of honesty, transparency, the credibility, and that they are keen on protecting their interests and the rest of their franchisees as strategic partners. So these numbers, 85% positive, 78% recommend their franchise brand to others. And a lot of people communicate with us now saying that someone told me, and he wants me to try franchise with you. 73% would do it all over again if they had the option. Repeat the experience. So this part refers that the franchise is attractive, and it's one of the good tools and one of the sectors that can lead to. Also, as an investor, if I have the capital, why don't I start copying a successful experience and redo it in another way? This study gives us with good experiences and indicators about franchise as one of the good business models that can be used in expansion later. On the other hand, there are other parts of franchise, which is the challenges of franchise. I mentioned here 9 parts. The first 6 of them and the first 2 rows, these 6 challenges are for the franchisor. For example, lack of leadership. For example, some of the franchisors, some of the brands, unfortunately, the owner or the board are not good, and we usually face this problem. Maybe a lot of the problems are related to the disagreements or conflict of interest between partners or inside the board. This can be a real reason for the failure of the business model, the development, the improvement of the work, and the business as a whole. Also, lack of support from the side of franchisors. For example, I give you the brand franchise, but you do it yourself. And unfortunately, this challenge or weakness of support is witnessed in many of the local and regional brands. For example, those that come from the Gulf or the Arab markets, they usually have difficulty in support because they don't have a board that knows the Saudi market. So when they come to the Saudi market, they don't support in terms of quality, marketing, understanding the culture of society. In Saudi society, when we speak about the middle region, it's different in culture from the Asir region or Jizan region or Najran region. So there are different multiple cultures in Saudi Arabia. This will be impactful if you don't provide support in a good way. If there is no third party that provides this information, it will be very difficult. Some of them start in the Saudi market, but after some time they fail. Also, a weakness in the franchise system. And some brands have problems regarding the franchise system. Not they don't have a complete system, and the reason is the real reason for that is that they don't depend uh, on building an integrated system. For example, the 5 points I'm speaking about, they focus on branding so that the brand is known in the Saudi and Gulf markets. But when you go deep regarding operations, they don't have information about franchise. They're not knowledgeable. Even the operational manager, they don't know the main terminology of franchise. Not in English, not in Arabic. They don't have the capability to provide support. They don't use the good tools in managing the process of managing products. All of these points negatively affect the franchise business. Also, the lack of branding. Some companies use a brand or a logo that looks good, but some of them, in terms of marketing, they have weakness in the identity, the cost when they start internal work. They have problems of operation, or they have the same internal design, which is very costly. That it is difficult to implement. They use materials that are not easily found. Some of them use lights and colors and environments that are not comfortable. It is very important to take care of all of these things. For example, marketing, managing social media accounts, or dealing with the influencers that will represent your brand well, or sometimes they don't have the budget for marketing. All of these points are points of weakness. Also, amplified or also the lack of financial control. I'm sorry for the typos on the slide. Maybe the operational cost is very high. Maybe in the brand now they are trying to reduce the costs from 30 to from 1 million to 500,000. For example, this is the strength of the business model, how to take control of the financial issues, how to, for example, if you are selling beans or coffee beans to franchisees, how can you improve the thing? If you sell him a package, it should be discounted. If you sell him more, if you should discount more, these financial matters are important because these are the materials that will guarantee the success and the sustainment of the company. Also, the R&D, research and development points, they are very important. Sometimes there are lack or weakness of R&D. Some of them say that we will continue with the same brand for 3 or 5 or 10 years without development. And suddenly they found today that they are behind because there is this lack of developing their system, their services, their sales, their customer care service, because R&D is very important for franchisors or brand owners, even if they first started with the help of a third party or outsourcing a company or individual or an office to provide them with these services. So these first 6 challenges are for the franchisors. Next 3 ones are for the franchisee, which is, for example, they're not good, not qualified, they're inadequate, or they have no experience or lack of experience. I don't speak much about franchisee because they work on a lot of things that are related to the franchisors. When the business model is working, it is easy to project it on the franchisee's activity. So, quickly speaking, before we move to the operation, we'll take 3 to 5 minutes break after that. Franchisor criteria. First, we need to go through all of these points. First, years of experience on the franchise. There is no specific number of years that, for example, will be taken in consideration. Previously, we usually said that there should be at least 10 years, but now it is impossible to train for 10 years to take the franchise. Things are now faster than ever. So number of years are now, according to the new update, it's 1 or 2 years in franchise experience. Number of units is very important, maybe 2 or 3 units to be operated. Building a brand from a new, from scratch. Also the reputation, which is very important. Also management hierarchy or the organizational structure, which is very important. Model of business is very important. So the total of investment and for example, investing 1 million is different from investing 2 million or half a million. Also, the return on investment to be reflected on the insurance, the employees, transportation, the area. All of these points are reflected on the total investment. So it is very important. Feasibility study is very important for the forecasting of the sales. Also, forecasting of the operational cost. So we should have plus and minus for this. Operation manuals are very, very, very important. Most of people make it short in operation manual, but there is something that is very important, which is shared franchise. Also, marketing their human resources and the easier to be operated with the less cost of number of employees. Smart business at 16 areas or 500 areas or 200 areas. It is easy to be flexible. Finally, the logistics part. Logistics are very important. How to create a, a permanent brand for the franchisees so that they can start the second or the third or the fourth to be responsible for a whole region. The more logistics I have, the more successful is the franchise in a way that is more sustainable. And by the way, logistics, all of the previous processes will be affected by that main point. Logistics are the main thing that separates normal or traditional way of business from the very innovative one. These are our contacts if you want to communicate with us. And also on the right, if you want to communicate to us through the different platforms. So we'll take a short break.
مرحبا. طيب في جاتني أسئلة
Welcome.
هنا.
I received some questions.
هل سيتم إرسال المحاضرات
Will you send the presentation on email via email?
هل تفضل إذا كنت
Do you prefer local or international franchise? How can I guarantee my rights?
ما إذا ما في إضافة ما
If
في
there's no additions
إضافة نوعية
or qualitative addition or a real value in the brand, don't take it if you don't need it.
ما هو الأفضل أدخل على
What is the best?
خدمات عامة
Yes, I will send the presentation by email. Also, in terms of the services,
فيها مشروع عالي.
yes, there is a higher profitable margin in services, but they have a lot of risk. Most of them depend on the quality of people, quality of mind, the intellect, the intellectual part. Services are one of the most difficult services. Even copying them or moving them from one country to another, they depend on specific rights, understanding of culture. So it is very difficult to handle.
كيف تحصل على نسخة من نظام
How can we have a copy of the franchise law? I think the franchise law is approved, but until now in the Chamber of Commerce, the franchise committee, we do have some remarks on some of the regulations. The final amendments with the Ministry of
كيف تشوف الأسواق؟
Investment will be disseminated and published soon. As for the franchise market is very attractive these days beyond your imagination. And daily we receive a lot of applications to transfer a business to franchise, but a lot of them we don't know if they're ready or not. We hope that they will be successful. Monshaat play an important role in this part regarding the development of the franchise system and supporting this system. And also the Ministry of Social Development play an important role in this regard as well. As for the challenges, until now they're not clear. The new regulations, I think we're working on finalizing them. We adjusted or modified or amended in 15 pages. We reported to them, and after the final amendments, we can talk about that.
طيب ننتقل.
Let's move on.
طبعا تكلمنا احنا قبل شوي عن الخمس.
We talked about the 5 main pillars of the franchise, and we mentioned operation. And operation in this system, this strategy that we are using in the business model starts with evaluation, then development of the business model, then the franchise, then planning, how to work on it, then the timing, then also the control. If we work, then the execution. Then if we do that, this is called the 360-degree. Of course, this is based on scientific formulas and processes, and some of them are based on experiences, and some others are based on exploration trials. These are some of the most important processes that we have in the 360X. For example, first, business strategy and model, then the project MVP, then the franchise ecosystem, then quality and excellence. I don't know the word in Arabic. Uh, Also the customer experience, also support and logistics for the franchisors, also HR and training, then marketing and digitalization. These are the most important parts related to operation aspect. I will dive deep in them now in order to know it as it is, as I said, the backbone of the franchise process. The backbone of the business to which we will guarantee that the business will depend on it, which is the daily viable operation. So operation management in general, first, and the points in yellow or the squares in yellow, these are the most important processes upon which any organization in the world rely. Marketing and sales, operations, then financing and accounting. These are the most important elements for business. Now I'm going to speak about operation and production. Why? Because this is rarely talked about, and I'm going to speak about that. And one of the most important reasons for the shortage of franchise in Saudi Arabia is the weakness in the operation department, because sometimes they have all the secrets of the business. So when you have a good operation manager goes to another company to transfer the know-how and how to deal with them and the experiences, this is important. But unfortunately, most of the operation managers in our Saudi market, in cafes and restaurants, they are not Saudis. So transferring the know-how and the business model are narrow. Also, transferring the know-how like operation manuals, dealing with suppliers, training, relation with employees, relation with viable or critical operations, improvement, inventory control. All of these points are important and they affect the sustainment and specific. Also, another thing, operation can be for a product or a service. Also, a restaurant or a factory. How can we, generally speaking, transfer the input into output? How can we transfer with the lower cost possible? This is very important for operation. Previously, we used to focus on the cost, but now we are focusing on, or previously, they first were focusing on specific things, but now they're speaking about the quality and also the customization, how to provide customized quality based on the needs. Also how to provide a high quality product based on high quality approvals, and in which we have a lot of experiences. I received a question, but I will try to answer it after a while. Also, these are the operations that I wanted to focus on. Also, what is the meaning of these things that I'm talking about? When there is a cost focus, how to develop operation, if you focus on the cost to be the lowest cost, buying the raw material and the lowest cost. But also now we are focusing on the quality focused. First the quality, then other things. So this is related to quality and globalization focus. This is a very important aspect, and unfortunately we have a weakness in these parts. We need people who are technical or engineers and anyone who has operational management mindset, who is able to transfer the assets into a business. This is very important. Also, these are some of the most important points that I'm going to talk about. Also, in terms of operation, how to take decisions. When you are an operation manager, how to take decision, how to have the ability of decision making. First, the strength of operation to design products, and how to the operation department and operation manager, the quality management that refers to the operation management or operation department, processes and procedures, the capacity, the strategy. For example, operation manager says that in one day I can provide 500 pieces, or I can serve 100 clients, or 500 clients in the restaurant. For example,
يعني
I can produce
مثلا
maybe 1,000. From 1,000
5
riyals, I
صفحات
can provide 5,000 riyals. Or maybe, for example, my employees, I need 5 employees in order to serve maybe 100 people an hour. Also, the kitchen process, the area needed for the refrigeration devices and customer service, the reception, the reception desk. All of these capacities and buildings are very important. The processes, also the best part or the best time to start the business, and also all of these points related the process for the hygiene.
الضمان الكواليتي ما في يكون هناك لا تسمم في الاكل او في عمليه ضبط العلاقه مع العملاء. اختيار
So
اللوكيشن او
also the
الموقع
choose of the location or the site, which is very important, and the strategy and the operation model that is very appropriate for you. Now, the exit, the entrances, the width of the street, the signs, and uh, all of the other parts. Will there be deepness in these things or not? Also, the operation manager, how to provide all of these points. Also, the operational efficiency that is very important.
اداره الموظفين والهيومن ريسورس وجوب ديزاين بمعنى كل موظف او كل جوب او كل وظيفه لها
Also, all objectives, all jobs, all positions have the job description that, and also that we are searching for the appropriate people or the right people to fill these positions. Also, the supply chain management, how to manage all supply chain, also inventory management and franchise. These are some of the most important points that operation is very important in terms of taking decisions. And here, there may be some opposition between the franchisor or the owner of the brand and the operation managers. Some of them have cause a lot of waste. Some of them have problems with receiving products. Sometimes they buy expensive things or something that are cheap that affect the quality. So when you are a franchisor, how can you manage your operations in a way that will control these things to serve the franchisees in a good way that will not negatively impact the quality? For example, if I'm going to start a franchise in the city of Arar, how can I provide the same supply chain, the same management, the same layout, the same employees, the same level of training, the same products, and the same quantities and the same quality? Even a sandwich is sometimes calculated with 1 gram, the amount of meat, the amount of veggies, and the amount of products there, how to manage the quality, to have quality assurance. And I have some templates for that. Also, how to operate, how to launch. All of these operations should be available and existing. As for the operation, there are a lot of things, and everything that happens, operation manager department should be under the operation and the management of the operation manager. This is very interesting, and unfortunately, time is not enough to detail all of it. How to manage operations, how to control operation management. It is a very interesting topic. Starbucks, for example, this is their layout. How can they calculate their customers? This is when it's a kiosk. Also, the layout of Starbucks in Italy, the localization of this. Not Starbucks, but it's similar. Also, the layout for their branches in Italy in accordance to the Italian culture. Also, Starbucks in China. How can they adapt or interact with the culture of the society that they're working on? This is the supply chain, starting from the farm to the cup of coffee. All of these processes are important, and the value chain is important for the this part and for serving the customers. All of them have operation manuals that are very effective. Also, this is the operation management or the supply chain for Starbucks. Also, another thing that's very important related to operation, which is productivity. how, and there are three main pillars in productivity, which is the labor, capital, and management. Meaning labor, the number of labors, the number of manpower or people working in this field, it increases 10% every year, and its impact in terms of productivity is 10%. As for the capital, which is the investment, is 38% annual increase. Management, strength of management, using solutions in a good way and an effective way with an increase of efficiency for the companies, that is 52% annual increase in terms of the management role in these companies. So these are three main components for or pillars for the productivity. So we need to take care of management of these points because they are very important for productivity. Now we're going to speak about something very important, how to, and I'm going to speak about that soon. Here are the quality tools and operation, or there are tools that are related to quality. These are quality tools related to operation. Sorry.
الاوبريشن سبلاي تشين رولز يقول لك هنا
This is the operational and supply chain role. There are 6 main roles for operation and supply chain or operation management. First, improve the supply chain, and this is a very important role for the operation managers. Franchisors have a very important job to do, which is contracting with suppliers in terms of the operational costs, continuous supply 24/7, all of the month, all of the year, no inefficiencies, having alternative methods. Also, logistics support should be available all the time. Also, the role of the operation manager is to reduce the operational cost, to receive the best offers of prices and buy credits. If printing costs, for example, 50 cents, how can I make them 10 cents? Should I print more or deal with another factory in China and Saudi Arabia? Also, the franchisees also should have better profit. If they have more profits, the franchisors will have more improvement based on that. Also, the third point, also improving the operations, meaning that the operation management, before they allow a product, they should know, should I deal with a company or a factory that provide us with bottles of water, like shawarma companies? They have an agreement with chicken factory to give them the chickens or more professional ways of the utensils that will help them reduce their cost and the waste to control the process. And also in terms of the number of employees who work on the shawarma itself, or for example, like McDonald's have done, they use with third parties to provide them with the contracts to provide them with all of the viable processes that will continue, will keep them running. Also, the processes and the procedures are very important to develop. Also, operation managers should understand market. They should know what's going on in the market in terms of new products, in terms of new suppliers. And last week in a Hurricane conference, there were a lot of marketers and also national, local, and international competitor markets, how to find alternatives, how to have maintenance companies or tools and services with the lowest cost, how to sign contracts for maintenance for everything. This is very important for the market. Also, the improving product, how to improve products that are in line with the needs of the location or the market. Also, some people have products that are better than meat. Some people like some products over meat. Some places like Arabian coffee more than American coffee or Turkish coffee or specialized coffee. So understanding the culture of society helps you improve your products. Also, finally, how operation managers can attract and retain global talents, people who are excellent, how to retain them the longest period of time in order to benefit from their capabilities. These are all the roles of operation. Also, when we speak about operation, many people that think that operating a branch or a cafe, a spa or a cafe, or a sports club or a gym is very important. Sometimes, in terms of inventory, in terms of storage or health, hygiene, maintenance and management, cooling, training, inventory control and management, a lot of systems, all of them have different operation manuals. So the back office is very important to understand it as a brand owner. And also, if you want to invest in franchise, it doesn't only mean that you as a franchisor will operate the model. No, they will support you as a franchisee if you are the franchisee in order to do the work, in order to guarantee that you will be successful, but they will not do the work for you. These are some of the important things as roles of operation managers in the supply chain process. Here is a very important point, how quality is important versus profitability. Quality has a very good impact, and quality impacts two main points, either the sales, which is
تطوير عفوا السمعه الجيده
the good reputation, and reducing the costs in terms of increasing productivity. The more productivity we have, the more our revenues. For example, instead of 1,000 burger a day, it would be, for example, 2,000. And after that, we'll have the cost, operational cost will be discounted, but you will have a bigger net profit because of the increased volume of these products. Also, the reworking process, which is the duplication and reworking, this is very important. Sometimes you may have this as a goal. Also, the business guaranteeing process, this is very important. This will increase your products or profits. I expect that these are the most important things. I want to show you something before we end. These are some of the operational manuals.
واضحه ولا ما هي واضحه؟
Are they clear? Can you see them?
واضحه الادله التشغيليه ولا اسوي
Are the operation manuals
خليني اسوي شيرنج
clean? I will try to share them again.
هذه مثلا
This is, for example, some of the operation manuals. For example, this is an opportunity maintenance checklist for cost, and this is like a simple part of hundreds of thousands of pages for preparation and other things. For example, the food cost coordinator responsibilities, daily, weekly, how to control the process, how to have a checklist that is clear.
هنا التحضير.
Here, for example, the preparation part.
هذا جزء من الادله التشغيليه.
All of these are parts of the operation manual. And unfortunately, in Saudi market, if you have a look at them, most of these operation manuals are not only weak, but they are close to just documents, not operating models or manuals. They're clear, Abdullah, right? This is also a checklist for a hotel. This is the pre-opening for a restaurant, how to have a pre-opening exercise. Also, when you start reopening, you make sure that everything is available, even the human resources, establishing work schedule, employee manuals, employee applications. All of these are important for operating manuals to control the process. Here, the safety, the outsiders or the outside store, in-store safety and security, the cash, even the cash register and safe, everything is registered here. I can show you a lot of them, and they are wonderful in terms of its clarity and its preciseness.
Finally,
this is the last thing. So I want to show you now some of the tools that are used, and I hope if you have time, you can read about them later in terms of quality. Total quality management a Six Sigma, which is the mic, also continuous improvement, cost of quality, ISO, benchmarking, just in time, which is the IT, Takochi concept. I'm not sure about it, one of the tools for quality. Also, employees empowerment. That is very important. These tools are used in, and most of them are Six Sigma, which is an continuous improvement for the planet. Do it, control it, and check. It is very important that you read about them. There are a lot of tools, and each one of them has sub-tools that are used in this topic. I wanted to show you this kind of business. For example, if we have time to have a look at some things. If you have any questions, I'm available. Here's a question now. Should the franchisor supply all of the material for the franchisee? No, of course, it's not his duty, but they may supply the things that are considered very important, or raw material very important for productivity. For example, if you're in Riyadh, of the brand in Riyadh, they cannot provide you bread and vegetables every day. They may provide you meat, sausages, or some specific products, not all of them. If franchise units are far from the central headquarters, how to solve supply chain problems? This is very important. Now there is a concept of trying as possible to make the concept management so that most of the processes are done in the same unit of operation. They should have, for example, a small laboratory for bakery or a coffee bean freezing, or a third party to deliver these things, and you only focus on the core business that you are managing. The core business, which is the manufacturing. For example, if it's a cafe or a company or a factory, focus on your core business and delegate the others. The best countries to receive franchise. There is now one specific country. Maybe America is famous, but there are a lot of brands that failed from the USA. They failed in the market, and in the recent 5 years, many of the brands left the Saudi market, like Big Smack Burger, Elevation, Burger Fuel, and others. They failed in the Saudi market. So this doesn't mean that there is something worrying. There are a lot of others who are successful. Toys R Us failed and announced their bankruptcy. A lot of brands are entering the market every day, but for me, I always prefer European brands because they have heritage that is old in terms of sales and markets, and they are more confident in terms of, and this is my personal opinion, of course. As for the franchise, the strongest in industry are the Americans. As for in this industry, for example, In-N-Out restaurants, In-N-Out, going back to the strategy of the importance of the strategy, the brand owners said that they will not work outside of Nevada and California. They receive applications from inside America and they refuse. Even in the Gulf and other rests, they refuse. This is a strategy. They said our strategy is only for Nevada and California. So the importance of the strategy impacts a lot of other things, technical things that we're not aware of. How to offer my business as a franchise? You need evaluation, scoring. There is a kind of scoring. I forgot to put it in the presentation, maybe another time. If you achieve some kind of marks or a degree of scoring, you can start the franchise. Internal readiness, financial ability, strong operation management, a strong brand, and an added value that you can provide it to anyone, that no one can copy you, no one can. How will this will depend on your business model and the importance of having a good business model. Is there a minimum for the profits for the franchise? No. A brand may provide you 3,000 days a day, and this is a good profitability. And another one sells 20,000, but the operational cost is higher than this 20,000. The margin of profit is very important, and the operational cost as well. I think our contacts are available. If you want my personal account, it's on Twitter, Wael Harbi. And anyway, you can contact us through these numbers, and the QR on the left has the WhatsApp number. If you want to contact me, you're welcome. Also here, I will add my account details. If you have any information or any questions, you're welcome. This is my account on Twitter and on WhatsApp. Why Al Harbi. This is my account on Twitter. This is my account on Twitter and Snap. You're welcome to contact me if there are any questions. There are no questions. Mr. Abdullah, do you want me to give you a few minutes? There is an icon at the top which is related to add your question. You can add your questions there. I'll give you 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes. I'll give you 1 minute to add your questions.
في عبد الله أي أسئلة؟
Okay, Abdullah, any questions? There are no questions. I had the honor of being with you. Thank you very much, and may you have a very good evening.